Hi, it's Maya here, and today I thought I'd make a video of authors that I want to read more from. Now, each of these authors that I mentioned I have only read one book from, but I'd really like to read more. So I'm going to name the author and the book that I have read from them and briefly explain why I like that book, and then say what I'm thinking of reading next from them. But I'd also like your recommendations based on the book that I have read and liked. What would you suggest I read from the author next? And the first book that I have here is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, and the reason why I like this book was the writing style. The atmosphere was off the charts, and I really like how du Maurier almost made the mansion itself feel real, like a real place. I really like the descriptions in this. And the book that I'm planning to read next is either Frenchman's Creek or Jamaica Inn. If you have read those, let me know which one of them is better. And next I have some fancy books, Raymond E. Feist. I have read the first book in the Riftwar saga, so that is The Magician, here in 2 parts, but it's considered one book, I think. I read this a long time ago, and I can't quite remember why I liked it, but I think it was because of the magic in it, and I know my sisters really like Feist, so I'd be interested in reading more from him. So naturally, since I have read the first book in the Riftwar saga, the book that I will read next is the rest of the Riftwar saga. I will have to reread these ones before I get any further in, but happily I have the whole series, or rather these are my boyfriend's books. They are quite old. I'm a bit hesitant because some of the 80s, 90s fantasy doesn't hold up when read today, but I hope that these do. And then I have a classic author, and that is E.M. Forrester, and I have read A Room with a View. I read this because I really like the movie with Helena Bonham Carter and Julian Sands, and the movie is really close to the book. So since I like the movie, I like the book as well. I actually liked the romance in this book, and I liked how funny it was also. I think my favorite part was the journey of the main character Lucy, and I like how she sort of found herself and learned more about herself during the book. The book that I'm planning to read next from Forster is most probably Maurice, and this is a book that was published after the author's death, because it is about love between 2 men, and he didn't want it published when he was alive because of the stigma of the time. Then I have an author that I just recently mentioned when I talked about science fiction in a video of mine, and that is Margaret Atwood, and I have only read The Handmaid's Tale from her, but I really like that, and in that one also my favorite thing was the writing style, and the whole book was just really good and really well written. And I think I will go to Oryx and Crake next, which opens her post-apocalyptic Mad Adam series, I think. The next author on my list is another classic author, that is Victor Hugo. I really enjoyed The Hunchback of Notre Dame. I like the question of morality, of good and evil, different sides to a character, and I really enjoyed how it came together, especially in the character of Frollo. And I also really liked the plot when the plot was actually happening, because Hugo likes to go off on tangents, for example about Parisian architecture. So the book that I would like to read next is Les Miserables, of course, but I'm a bit afraid to start it since it's a lot bigger than Hunchback, and even in Hunchback there are a lot of times wasted on these tangents, and in such a huge book as Les Miserables, I'm pretty afraid of how big a part of the book the tangents will be instead of the actual plot. Next is Ellen Kushner, and I have read Swords Point from her, which I really enjoyed. I read it late last year, and I really enjoyed all of her characters. I like how they sort of had a bit hazy morals, and I like that it takes place in this city with nobles plotting and swords fights happening, and it was just a really fun read. Also, I really enjoyed that all the characters are bisexual, which I think is refreshing. So the book that I want to read next from her is Privilege of the Sword, which is quite funny because actually the book that she had written next in this world was The Fall of the Kings. But I trust 2 people, Rachel from Kalanadi and Victoria from Victoria Harris, who told me that I should read Privilege of the Sword next, because inside the series chronology it comes first. So I will trust them and read Privilege of the Sword first. And finally I have Octavia E. Butler. I have read the first Pattern Master series book from her, which is Wild Seed, and it was good, but it was also quite a hard read. It tackled some hard topics, but I'm interested in trying out more of her books, and I'm pretty sure that next I will read the second Pattern Master book, because I have the omnibus on my Kindle. But I'm also interested in her Xenogenesis series, starting with Dawn. So if you have read those 2 series, which one do you like better? So those were all the authors that I wanted to talk about in this video. As I said, let me know in the comments what books of theirs you have really liked and what you would recommend for me next. And I will see you all next time.